Hello, boxing fans around the world. Thank you for joining me once again on Talkin Fight, where I provide you the daily update with respect to the news and headlines from around the world. Let's start off with a fight that happened last weekend, where Sam Eggington threw a whopping 1,317 punches in what is labeled the Fight of the Year candidate anyway. Birmingham hero Sam Eggington threw a staggering total of 1,317 punches, an incredible average of 109 punches per round in his absolute barnstormer of a fight with Bilal Jiku at the Coventry Skydome Arena last Friday night. According to our friends over at Boxing 247 across the pond, this is one heck of a story. WBC silver middleweight champion Eggington defended his title on a split decision in what promoter Mick Hennessy and many of the fight trade have hailed as a worldwide fight of the year that was broadcast live and free in the UK. British great Joe Calzaghe famously threw 1,006 punches in his legendary showdown with rival champion Jeff Lacey in their epic 2006 encounter. More unbelievable stats from the fight reveal that Eggington's best round was a thrilling second when he threw 125 punches, and in the championship rounds, he recorded his second and third best tallies by landing 117 in the 11th and 115 in the 12th and final round. Incredibly, not once throughout the whole fight did referee Mark Lyson have to separate the pair for clinching or holding, or to speak or warn either man, as the Warriors were left to get on with their own brutal business as they exchanged heavy shots on each other. The pair have received high praise from, most importantly, the fight fans and media pundits as they went above and beyond in their 12-round thriller that has taken the boxing world by storm. Renowned Midlands fight figure John Pegg, Eggington's career-long manager, who worked the corner on the night, religiously watches every fight again in half speed to record the number of punches thrown to aid Eggington in his fight performance. Sidebar, if only he had some modern technology to do that for him. The average boxer throws 50 to 60 punches per round. In comparison, Eggington routinely throws 80 to 90, but even he outperformed himself on that magical night. Pegg said, "Sam throws 80 to 90 punches per round, and this is even when the opponents are moving away or holding. Because he has such a willing dance partner in Jiku in front of him, his punch stats have gone through the roof. Sam standing in front of someone is really hard. He's a hard man to beat. His engine is flawless. You can't throw that many punches without your engine being tip-top. Sam doesn't usually get that kind of guy with fair play to Jiku. It takes two to make a fight, but hats off to the pair of them for giving the fans and viewers something really special to remember for years to come." Fantastic stuff out of England. And over we go to hear from Split Team Management press release that two members of the Split Team Management stable picked up victories over the weekend. On Friday night at the Motor City Casino in Detroit, lightweight Rolando Vargas stopped Akeem Jackson in the opening round of their scheduled 6-round bout. Vargas, 21 years old, of Milwaukee, got back in the win column to raise his record to 6-1 with 6 knockouts. John Ware of Toledo also got back in the win column as he stopped Ashton Sykes in round 3 of their scheduled 8-round super middleweight bout in Oregon, Ohio, not far from Ware's hometown. Ware, who has already registered wins over Derek Atkins, who's 5-1-1, Enrique Calzo, who's 11-0-1, and Ronald Els, who's 16-0-2. With the win, Ware will look for another big opportunity as his record has reached 14-3-2 with 9 knockouts. Elsewhere around the world, headline, Miguel Borrego is going up against Jesus Correa in Mexico this Wednesday, which would be tomorrow night, I think. Is today Wednesday? No. 2 regional titles of the World Boxing Association will be disputed on Wednesday in great tribute to the Independence Day that will take place in Mexico, and that will have the local Miguel Borrego facing Venezuelan Jesus Correa in the main bout of the evening, organized by the Golden Ring Company. The WBA officially began operations in Mexico a few months ago, and the objective of the organization has been to give opportunities to its boxers, promoters, and all those involved in boxing in this great boxing country. The Fede Caribe Super Lightweight title will be at stake between Borrego and Correa, the two young opponents with slightly different realities, since the former has little less more experience, but the visitor arrives hungry for his first international challenge. Meanwhile, Colombian Liliana Palmera and Mexican Carla Ramos will clash in the co-feature fight for the WBA Federata Super Featherweight title. The South American has already been world champion and seeks to dominate this fight to earn a new opportunity in the future, but will have to beat Ramos, who comes motivated to fight at home. The event will be attended by other young and promising fighters, such as Colombian Paulina Angel and Veronica Zaluga, who will have their first international experience in this great billboard. The WBA plans to continue supporting quality events like this one of Golden Ring, and thanks Mexico for all the projects it has helped to put in place on its soil in these months. Elsewhere around the world, Adrian Taylor faces Rafael Simeon in Hollywood Fight Nights on September 16th. After struggling to make weight at light heavyweight and catchweights for a majority of his pro career, Dallas boxer Adrian Montaru Taylor has finally found his comfort spot in the cruiserweight division. The 30-year-old Taylor, who's 11-1 with 4 knockouts, takes on Armenian knockout artist Rafael Bam Sinyamyan, 9-1 with 8 knockouts, in an 8-round bout this Thursday night on the latest installment of RJJ Boxing on UFC Fight Pass, presented by Roy Jones Jr. Boxing Promotions, that's RJJ Boxing, and 360 Boxing in association with World Cup Boxing Series. The September 16th event will stream live and exclusively on UFC Fight Pass, starting at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Pacific Time, from Quiet Cannon Event Center in Montebello, California. Taylor was a decorated amateur boxer who captured top honors in a pair of national tournaments, in addition to being the 2016 USA Boxing Olympic alternate in the heavyweight division. As Montaru, also known as God of War, notes, he fought as an amateur in the weight category closest to the cruiserweight division as a professional. The Abel Sanchez-trained Simeon is coming off a disputed loss by way of an 8-round majority decision this past March to Abraham Tibes. Taylor, who has won his last 4 fights, has gained invaluable experience as world welterweight champion Errol Spence's sparring partner. Elsewhere, Patrick Lukhoto and George Lumley will contest the UBO title in Indonesia on September 25th. Barring a draw, Indonesia will soon be able to claim the UBO's World Bantamweight Championship. On September 25th in Bekasi City, on the outskirts of Jakarta, compatriots Patrick Lukhoto and George Lumley will fight for the vacant title in the main event of a show promoted by Victory Target Promotions. Fighting out of Kupang, 27-year-old Lukhoto brings a record of 12-2-2 with 8 knockouts and is a former undefeated Indonesian national champion. Lumley, who's 29, also a former Indonesian champion, is 15-8-1 with 11 knockouts, and as a resident of Jakarta, he will have some sort of home court advantage come fight night. Both men have been in camp for the fight for a while, as was originally planned to happen earlier in the summer. Code restrictions postponed the event, but now appears to be all systems go. Woo! Elsewhere around the world, we have Oscar Rivas going toe-to-toe against Byron Jennings. A World Boxing Council, WBC World Championship fight will officially come to fruition on October 22nd in Montreal, Canada, in the bewitching atmosphere of l'Olympia de Montreal, a renovated venue that has kept its captivating cachet. Those who will have the privilege of being there will attend a colorful show in an exceptional environment that they will not soon forget. For the first time in history, the WBC Bridgerweight title, under 224 pounds, will be on the line. Adopted Quebecer and WBC #1 contender for the vacant WBC title, Oscar Kaboom Rivas, who's 27-1 with 19 knockouts, will face American and #3 rated Byron Jennings, who's 24-4 with 14 knockouts. hailing from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This is a major clash for the two fighters and their careers, which promises to be a risky, hotly contested contest. After all, the winner will become the monarch of this new division. This grand and historic showdown marks the return of American television to Canada for the first time since December 2018, as ESPN Plus has retained the broadcast rights to the fight in the United States. In total, this prestigious gala will also be broadcast live in nearly 50 countries. Rivas was ranked among the world's top 5 heavyweights when he was selected as the number 1 contender in the WBC's newly created division. In his last fight this past March, he easily disposed of Silvera Lewis by retirement in the 3rd round. In addition, boxing fans remember the fight delivered by Kaboom in England on July 20th, 2019, against Britain's Dillian Whyte, who's 25-1 with 18 knockouts. In his previous outing, Rivas lost by close decision, even though he knocked out his opponent in the 9th round. The loss was very bitter, especially when it became known that Whyte had allegedly tested positive for illegal substances before the fight without BBB-OC intervention. And our final news item of the day comes by way of an open letter written by Mauricio Suleiman, who's the son of Jose Suleiman, president of the WBC. The World Boxing Council invariably supports any situation that is beneficial to boxers, including new promotional companies, broadcast platforms, extraordinary tournaments, sponsoring companies, etc. Part of our work as a regulatory body for the sport is also to promote and offer our platform to support such initiatives. The WBC worked hard to achieve this very successful Super 6 tournament in the super middleweight division by Showtime. So did with the World Boxing Super Series. It also works along with Fundación Telmex Telcel to carry out the highly successful Ring Telmex program, which has generated 19 champions, or the Superfly tournament, which is still generating interesting matches involving those fighters. He says, we are currently experiencing a boxing trend with a wide variety of elements: influencer and YouTubers events, participation of athletes from other sports inside the ring, mixed martial arts fighters trying boxing, and retired boxers returning to the ring. This phenomenon is not new. It has happened in the past, but sporadically as unique and independent events. We saw Muhammad Ali fight against the Japanese wrestler Inoki, who never got off the mat and kicked him all the fight. We also saw baseball player Jose Canseco, who stepped into the ring to receive a beating. Too Tall Jones of the Dallas Cowboys had 6 professional fights, winning all. And Mickey Rourke used to go to Japan, thrilling his fans and fighting there, bolstered by his fame as a Hollywood gigolo. Fair enough. The current trend is not something sporadic. It has already emerged on various fronts, and it seems to be something continuous, obviously all based on the money that has been generated. It all started during the pandemic. The world paused and stopped. There were no sporting events for several months, and the confinement led us to a mental change. So, full of nostalgia, we started doing things at home that we missed and gave us passion and pleasure in life. Mike Tyson returned to boxing training. In doing so, he overcame his terrible depression and shed weight by training for a couple of months and by uploading a video of just 6 seconds on his social networks. So the world began to dream and imagine what it would be like to see Iron Mike back in the ring. Miguel, as I affectionately call him, began to organize an event with specific characteristics. It would be an exhibition with headgear, 16-ounce gloves, and 3 rounds match inspired by the events he saw staged by Julio Cesar Chavez and Jorge Arce. Exhibitions to entertain the public, to bring happiness to society, and very importantly, for charitable purposes. Finally, Tyson fell into the temptation of money and gave this event to a company called Triller, who took over and organized it in its entirety. They went out to look for the rival, which was finally Roy Jones. They added the very popular influencer Jake Paul, who had actually been boxing for 3 years and faced a basketball legend, plus some official fights between pro boxers. It was held at the Staples Center in LA without an audience and was complemented by musical acts, highlighting Snoop Dogg, who smoked a huge marijuana cigarette, and that's how the whole stage smelled like. Tyson offered a wonderful performance. They both understand that was about entertaining and at no point tried to hurt each other. The event was an absolute success. It sold 1.6 million homes on pay-per-view, and that's where the eyes of many were opened. Today, there are the Paul brothers, as well as influencers from various countries trying to make their events. Likewise, promoters and broadcast platforms are looking for ways to enter this new dynamic. But the most important thing to note is that retired boxers are looking to get back in the ring. What happened last Saturday was realization. Thank goodness there was no serious injury. Tito Ortiz was struck down in less than a minute with a spectacular knockout that could end it in a fatal injury. And the great legendary champion Evander Holyfield was embarrassed in just 90 seconds by a retired mixed martial artist rival. I'm not interested in analyzing Holyfield's performance and what happened. It is a blessing that everyone has seen the reality. You can't play boxing. Former boxers must not return to the ring to fight. The exhibitions are acceptable as they are with important security measures, but fighting without headgear and competitively cannot happen. What happened last Saturday was a blessing. Thank goodness there was no serious injury. Many legends had left the ring with painful farewell fights when time took away the physical virtues. Joe Louis was knocked out by Marciano, Ali by Holmes, Leonard by Camacho, El Puis by the unknown Nacho Madrid, Chavez by Gully Wiley. All of them closed the chapter of life as a boxer and moved on. Today is different. Holyfield had not fought in a decade, and at 58, he committed a terrible mistake, risking his life and the honor of the sport that gave him everything. Oscar de la Hoya was going to fight after 12 years out of the ring, but a signal came from heaven when he contracted COVID-19 and had to cancel it. Riddick Bowe says he wants to fight, and so the sharks in the business are pitching offers to the legendary but spent fighters to use them. Give them peanuts and themselves collecting millions. This needs order in some way. The power of money and the few scruples of a few cannot be more important than integrity and security. Holyfield can now be once again the great leader, but he must also seek the help of his teammates, colleagues, friends, and family not to go through this situation ever again. Anyway, the full story, it does continue, and a few quotes, all can be found on boxing247.com, the site where I grab all this news and these headlines from. Please feel free to join me tomorrow, and I thank you for joining me today. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Adios.